Abby, thank you very much for letting us come round and talk to you today.
No problem.
I really do appreciate it. I'm just going to start by asking you to cast your mind back a few days before this attack. What was life like for you? What was a normal day for Abby?
It was as every teenage girl does. I didn't have a worry in the world whatsoever. I could leave my house without being scared of who's around the corner, what the night could await. I had no worries whatsoever because I hadn't experienced anything as terrible before, so I never worried, which it sounds silly because you should always worry, but I didn't. I had no worry in the world. Would just go out with my friends, not thinking about safety or anything like that. I'd just go out and have a nice time and not think about who was there or what was lurking.
Could you explain to me what happened on the day of the attack then? So let's start from the morning.
Yeah.
You wake up, you've got plans for that day.
Yeah. So at the start I initially had work in the morning through to the afternoon, and then I went and met my friend and we came back here and we got ready, as you do, because we was excited to go out. And this was one of the times that we got the bus from my house to the train station and caught the train to wherever we was going. We arrived there as you normally do, went to the first pub and then went to the second and stayed there for a while, and it was only the whole night was fine. Nothing strange happened. It was just like every other weekend until the end of it, and that's when everything went bad. Yeah.
So then what happened in that evening as you were leaving the venue?
So we was leaving the venue and some might say I had a little bit too much to drink, and we was all just really happy, as I am when I've had a little bit to drink, and we was running around and I thought it would be a fantastic idea to play hide and seek. So I'm running around, it's like a little circle, so you can just run as I was. And all my friends are trying to find me, but I liked the chase of it. I thought it was funny. And then I found a bush to hide in, which I thought was a great hiding spot. So I hid in there for a little bit, and then I thought I heard my friend coming in, and it was not my friend whatsoever. Yeah.
So then what happened?
So I'm hiding for a little bit and I hear the leaves rustling, and I turn around thinking it's my friend, but I couldn't see anything. And all I heard was a Middle Eastern accent ask me if I'm okay, and that's when I knew that it was in fact not my friend, and I knew that something was wrong. And I said, yes, I just need to get back to my friend. And that's when he comes up to me and he grabs me by my face and he just starts kissing me. I then pull away, I did not want that whatsoever, and I'm like, no, I just need to get back to my friends. No, I just need to get back to my friends. That was all that I could say. And then he starts touching my boobs. So throughout the night when I was playing hide and seek, I lost my t-shirt somehow. I think it was from when I was running away from my friend. So I just had like a gym sports top on. So he's got his hand and he's gone under there and started touching my boobs. And all that will come out is, no, I need to get back to my friends. But he did not say anything. He didn't stop. He didn't take any notice. And so that goes on, and then he starts making his way down and he unbuttons my jeans and does the zip and pulls my trousers down. And I'm frozen. I don't know what to do. And he picks me up from behind, like by the back of my thighs, and puts me on this brick wall. And he's still touching me, and all I can say is, no, I need to get back to my friends. But he isn't saying anything. All I can hear is like heavy breathing and feel his stubble, and then he gets his hand and he starts to make his way down. So he goes onto my pubic area, and now I'm just completely frozen. And bear in mind, I can't see anything. I don't know what he looks like, anything, because it was so dark. So he goes to my pubic area, and that is just when I black out and everything goes black and I can't remember until I hear someone shout, "There's 2 people in the bush, one of them's undressed," and I feel like that's what woke me up. And then after that I just hear rustling away, so it's kind of a sigh of relief that he's gone, he's not here anymore. And I look around and I can just see blue flashing lights. I'm like, it's the police. Like, so I'm in the wall, there's like several steps, like little walls to climb up, so I'm climbing up them, but I had to pull up my trousers first. So like in the back of my mind I'm thinking, what's happened? But I'm just so focused on getting to them blue lights to just feel a bit of safety after what happened. So I've climbed up and I've seen these blue lights, and there's 2 police women standing there, and I've just ran to them and I've just collapsed onto them, and I'm crying and I'm in hysterics because I didn't understand what had just happened to me.
You remember repeatedly saying no?
Yeah, over and over. All I could say was, no, I need to get back to my friends, no, I need to get back to my friends. Repeatedly, yeah.
And as you were saying that, it didn't deter him, he carried on?
Yeah, it didn't deter him, he didn't stop, he didn't even say any more. The only thing he said throughout that whole interaction that I can remember is, "Are you okay?" And then after he starts doing what he was doing, he never said anything, never responded to me when I was saying no.
How was that situation made you feel?
It makes you feel so vulnerable, and you know, this is my own body, and my control of my own body was taken away from me. You know, in the state that I was in, I was already vulnerable, but for someone to be able to just so easily take advantage of me, it was a horrible feeling, because I felt like my body wasn't my own body anymore and I wasn't in control of it anymore.
Do you feel as though he was lurking like a predator, waiting for someone like you in a vulnerable state to come along?
Yes, so the reason I believe that is because the club/pub thing that we was in shut at 2 a.m. and we was hanging around for a bit, and this whole interaction started at about 20 to 3, quarter to 3 a.m. So a good 45 minutes after the club had shut, there was not really anyone around, really, apart from him. Yeah.
So you've run into the arms of the police.
Yeah.
Really. What have you said? What have they said? What's happened then?
It's all a bit of a blur, the whole police interaction. I just remember just breaking down to them, crying, and they're asking me what happened, and I was telling them, but I was speaking really quickly. They couldn't really understand me, especially because I was crying as well. And my friend starts to come over, but they ask her to step away so they could talk to me. So I'm just trying to explain as best as I can what had happened. And in the end they decide to just take me to the police station, which one of my friends came with me. And I got back to the police station. I had a bit of a interview with them and told them what happened.
And that must have been especially difficult for you, because by the sounds of things, as he has progressed with this sexual assault, you have blacked out a bit. What do you think that was that caused you to black out there?
I think it was, I like to believe that it was my own body protecting me from knowing what was happening. Because I already, with what I remember, it's still a lot of trauma to try and heal from and move past. But I feel like if I remembered what else could possibly have gone on, then it would have been a lot more to have flashbacks of and to remember.
Talk to me then about the impact that this has had on your life so far.
It has affected every single part of my life. You know, before this all happened, I felt like I was, you know, a normal teenage girl, you know, living her life, and now I feel like I'm living with precaution. Every time I leave my house, I'm wondering who's around the corner. You know, I never feel safe, not even in my own home, which is horrible. And it's took a big toll on my mental health as well, especially where I felt so out of control of my own body. I feel like I don't have any control of any aspect of my life, because it can be taken away from you so quickly, and you never realise how vulnerable you are until you are put in that certain situation. So I've struggled with a lot with my mental health, suicidal thoughts, you know, questioning my life. Like, you know, you always get the thoughts like, is it worth it? You know, what's the point? You know, my control was taken away from me. You know, I feel like it's not my body anymore. I feel like I'm like away from my body, like I'm not in control of it anymore. It affected my work, so I've recently lost my job, and I was having to take a lot of time off to try and heal, and I had to have adjustments put in place because I would get triggered a lot by little things. It could be anything, just random things could trigger me at any moment.
Do you mind me asking what kind of things can trigger you?
So, for example, the same accent can trigger me a lot. And I remember it was always this guilt, because even people closest to me, like my little brother Cyrus, who's only 19 months, I remember getting a trigger from him. I remember I had gone to the toilet and he's come in and he's pulling on my trousers, and that was an instant throwback, because that is what he'd done. So if it's anything related to it, an accent, like a face look-alike, you know, anything that he done in that night, it will be a immediate trigger. Yeah.
Do you feel safe at home now?
Not fully, no, because, you know, I thought I felt safe there, and it turned out I wasn't. You know, it was a place that I've known for many years and have always been there, and I've always felt safe there, and then instantly I'm not. So it's really made me question, you know, where am I safe? Because now I'm in the mindset of you're not safe anywhere, because you never know who is around or what could happen. Yeah.
Stacey, could I ask you about that day in question and that night? So, what happens for you? How do you find out about this attack?
The first thing, I didn't actually know about it until the Saturday evening. I'd woke up early hours of Saturday morning, see that Abby wasn't home, but that was not normal, but I knew she'd gone out. We'd actually had a bit of an argument the week before, because she'd gone out and was meant to come home and didn't update me that she had changed her plans. And only that day before she went out, Mum, I need to grow up a little bit, you know, I'm not a baby anymore, you need to let go, I'm all right. So when I woke up and see that she wasn't home, I instantly wanted to call her, and then I thought, do you know what, no, let go a little bit, stop being so overprotective, let her have her fun, she'll be fine. Got up the next morning, checked in her room, see that she was home, she was asleep at that point, her friend was with her, didn't think anything of it. We went for a family get together, came home that evening, and it wasn't until I come home that evening that Abby was in a bit of a state. We could just tell that she wasn't right. She was trying to hurry out the door. My husband questioned, like, where are you going? I'm just going to a friend's house. Okay, how are you getting there? And then she said, oh, the police are outside, they're taking me. She was like, what do you mean the police are outside, they're taking you? Like, you need to explain, come back, explain. So she said, I was sexually assaulted last night. So you can imagine the shock for us was just like, what do you mean? She told us briefly what had happened, and then she left to go to her friends. Wasn't until really the following day she come back, and we said, like, we need to talk to you, like, explain to us what's happened. She told us all what had happened. So to find out that she'd been to the police station and everything, that they'd been back the day before and taken her, obviously I didn't know anything about that, so I wasn't there to go with her, which was really, really upsetting. me and Abby are really close, so initially I was quite surprised that she hadn't told me. But then she explained that Abby being Abby doesn't want to worry anybody, and was like, Mum, you've got enough going on. I didn't want to worry you. I wanted you to go out and have a good day. I didn't want to put that stress on you. But for me it was really disappointing because I would have wanted to go with her.
How has the whole thing made you feel? Because you obviously want your daughter to be able to go out with friends and do what normal teenagers do.
Yeah.
But obviously this has happened, hasn't it? How's that made you feel?
It's been really difficult because I've always said to Abby, you know, life's for living. Go out there, enjoy yourself, make memories. So I've always kind of pushed her to go out and experience the world. And Abby was always such a fun-loving, so much life, you know, literally just a fun girl. So from a mum's point of view, to now see the change in her has probably been the hardest bit to take.
Talk to me about that change.
She's just not the same person anymore. She's obviously still lovely and beautiful, but her zest for life has gone. She's depressed, she's scared, she doesn't even feel safe in her own home. There's many nights where she can't sleep and she's terrified. She closes her eyes and she gets flashbacks. So there's been many nights that she's called me for me to go and sleep in her room with her. For your child not to feel safe in their own home has been really difficult. She doesn't go out as much anymore. If she does go out, she doesn't really drink. You can just see the fear in her. She was always such an innocent girl, always sees the best in everybody, never got a bad word to say about anyone. And now she questions everything and everyone and everyone's intentions. She's just not the same person anymore. It's really changed her.
As a mother, how has this affected you? Has this changed you as a mother, do you think, at all?
Yeah, it's been a really painful experience. As a parent, you want to protect your child. That's my job. And I feel like I failed doing that. I don't feel like she's been protected to have gone through something so traumatic and then to continue feeling like she's been let down. And as a mum, I've been powerless to that. There's been very little that I feel like I've been able to do other than be there for Abby. I can't do anything. So I literally feel powerless. But it's been awful. Obviously, ultimately, this happened to Abby, but it's affected the whole family, not just me. It's affected literally everybody. It's been a really tough time, and it's just to know that your child's been hurt and violated is painful.
It's not just traumatised Abby, has it?
No, it's been tough.
And if Abby's attacker was here now, what would you say to him?
Why do you feel the right to do that to somebody? Why? No one deserves that. What on earth makes you think that you can come to our country and do that to somebody? It's sick.
Do you think your life will ever be the same?
No. I think as a parent you always worry. You're always going to have that worry about your child, but it's just heightened that worry. Now I don't only have to worry about Abby being out and other people, I have to worry about Abby herself and her own mental health. As Abby mentioned, she's had suicidal thoughts, she's had thoughts of hurting herself. So it's just an additional worry now that I have to worry about her, not just the outside world.
Abby has chosen to waive that right to anonymity. You have also chosen to come forward and speak out about this. Could you just explain why you support Abby's decision here, and why you as well feel like you want to put your name and your face forward?
I think for Abby, and I can see it as well, that this whole process, she's been kind of hidden in the background. I feel like he's had his day in court, he's had his chance to speak. Abby hasn't had any of that. Abby is literally, not other than her ABE video evidence, she's not once been able to speak. And I think that was important for her to get her voice out. Abby being Abby, thinks of everybody else before herself, and I think her main message has always been that unfortunately she can't change what's happened to her, but she wants other people out there that this may have happened to maybe get a little bit of strength and feel a little bit of support, that you can come forward. Abby stated many times she's the victim, why she's felt hidden all this time, and she doesn't want to feel hidden anymore. And she wants that message out there. She wants her story to be told. Even, like I say, it's not going to make any difference for her, but that awareness might make a difference for somebody else. And for me, it's, you know, parents need to be aware that our kids are not safe. I never thought it would happen to my child. You never think it's going to happen to yourself, but it does. It does, and my fear is doing everything I can to stop this to happen to someone else's child.
I have nothing to be ashamed about. I can't change what happened to me whatsoever, but if I can just do a little bit to save someone else from going through what I went through, then I will do that. And also, he hasn't seen me since. I haven't had my voice, I haven't been able to tell my story, but this has given me the chance to feel that I can get my voice out there, and, you know, he can see who he's done it to, who he's hurt, whose life he has affected. You know, he'll get out, he'll get benefits, he'll get housed, he'll get everything handed to him, and I get absolutely nothing. I just get a lifelong worth of trauma that I have to deal with for the rest of my life, and he doesn't have to go through any of that, which I think is so unfair. But if I can get my face and my voice out there and tell people what has happened to me and what he has done, then I will do that, and hopefully save someone else from going through what I went through.
At what point do you find out that this man is an Iranian asylum seeker?
I found out from news articles. Yeah.
Could you talk me through that? How did that happen?
So I didn't know what he looked like, obviously. I wasn't allowed to know his name. I wasn't allowed to know his age. They would not tell me anything. So I've already gone through this trauma, and now I don't even know who's done it to me. I don't know anything about them. And I remember I found out his name through when he went to court for his plea. My mum went along and obviously was able to find out the name for the case. But I didn't find out he was Iranian or an asylum seeker or his age until I saw on a news article online. I think I found it on Facebook, where it stated that information, and that's when I found it out on an article.
When you found out that he was an asylum seeker,
Yeah.
how did that make you feel?
I felt quite betrayed, because I knew that, I just believe that they should have done more background checks, you know. It wasn't even someone that, you know, he was let into this country. He was granted this right to come into this country, and that is what he does. I felt like he disrespected the country, disrespected me, came in with no respect whatsoever. It just felt quite horrible that in my own country I'm made a victim, and I'm sexualised, and I am assaulted and attacked. It was a horrible feeling. Yeah.
One of the other aspects to this is that he was, for a period of time, housed in accommodation by a local Christian charity. Yeah. And we know that plenty of asylum seekers, especially from Iran, and we don't know if this is specifically the case with this guy, but are claiming that they can't be sent back to Iran or other Muslim countries because of their Christian beliefs. Mm-hmm. What do you make of that, given what's happened to you?
I don't believe it, to be honest. I believe, Christianity is a strong faith, and it's a beautiful religion. And I don't believe if you were so strong about your religion and the respect and everything like that, loving each other the same, you would not have done what you done to me, because you had no respect, you had no faith, you had no good intentions in that moment. You couldn't have cared about my safety any less. So I don't believe that it's to do with religion at all. I don't know.
What do you want to happen to this man now?
I want him to serve his time for what he's done to me, because he deserves to have to serve his time. But after that, I would feel most safe if he got deported, because at the moment I feel like my coping mechanism is the fact I know he's locked up, I know he's in jail. I'm not going to bump into him on the street, which makes things a little bit easier. But once he's served his sentence and he's out there, I know I'm going to be a nervous wreck. That the worry that I feel now is going to be multiplied by like 100. It's going to be horrible, because I know that he is out there roaming the streets. I could bump into him. So I would feel most safe if he was deported, because then I know that I wouldn't bump into him. But that conversation left me feeling, a bit low, and felt like I wasn't the main priority, because...
Talk to me about that conversation. So what you're referring to there, I believe, is a conversation that you had with police, is it? Where you made it clear to them that you were hoping that this man would be sent back to Iran.
Yeah. So the policewoman that I was talking to, she was saying that she hopes that is what would happen too. They would look for that to happen. However, with Iran not being a safe country, they have a duty of care. And if it's not safe enough, there could be a chance that he is not deported, as it wouldn't be safe enough. And I just felt, you've already put me in an unsafe situation.
We obviously have huge issues with our asylum system at the moment in Britain.
Yeah.
And we have large numbers of mostly men from very similar parts of the world to the man who attacked you coming in nearly every day. How does that make you feel? What kind of risk do you think that poses? And what is your message to people who say that this isn't a risk and this isn't a problem?
I feel like people who say that this isn't a risk or isn't a problem are people that haven't had something like this happen to them. It's only until you are affected by, people coming into the country, and every single day all these people that no one knows about, no background checks are done, till you realise how much of a serious problem that it is. And, I just want other people to understand the point of view when we say that it's not safe. No one knows who's coming in, no one is doing these checks on these people, and then it's people like me who was a normal person before and now facing the consequences of these people, coming in. No one knows who they are, nothing is checked on them, no research, nothing, and we're having to face the consequences in our own country for people that are coming here for a better life, but then making ours worse. It's horrible. It's horrible.
I think there is quite a good chance that people like the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister will watch this interview, and they will have heard what you've had to say, and they'll have seen your bravery and courage in coming forward and talking about this devastating incident and the consequences that it's had for you.
Yeah.
If Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, or Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, were here in this room now, what would you say to them?
I'd want them to maybe rethink how much they're letting in, because, you know, it's affecting so many people, including myself, and it's only until, you know, not everyone gets this chance to speak up and get that message out there. I'm not the only one this has happened to. It's happened to so many people, but I'm just lucky enough to get this chance. So I just want them to really understand that these things do happen, and this is the result of it. And, you know, they might just think it's, you know, for housing, letting them in, you know, doing a good thing, but really in the end of it, it's not. It's putting people at danger, your own people at danger in their own country, and I don't think it's fair. You know, I think we should, you know, understand the severity of the situation and realise that it's not always positive, and these horrible things do happen to people like myself and many other people in this world. So I would want them to really understand that, you know, it's not all great, and that they should really understand that it ends up quite nasty sometimes. Yeah.
There is something that you mentioned to me earlier, that at some point in this process, you found out where he'd been living.
Yeah.
Could you explain to the viewers and listeners what happened there?
So this is another thing that I am really angry about. On the way back from the SARC, I got dropped home to grab some stuff, as I informed them that I wanted to stay with my friend that night, and they said that they would drop me there. So they dropped me to my friend's house, sent me off there, knew exactly where I was staying, and then I found out that when he was, I believe when he was put on bail and placed in housing, they placed him a few doors down from where she lived, which they knew that I was there because they dropped me there, and they knew I did dance there. They knew I was in the area all the time, and that is where they placed him a few doors down.
So you have just gone to a sexual assault clinic. You've had whatever examinations they've done there, and the police themselves dropped you back at a property. Yeah. So they knew where you'd been dropped at. Yeah. And then you find out that presumably around the same time, maybe actually 24 hours, 48 hours after that, they had also dropped him off. How close are we talking? We're
talking a few houses down the road, yeah.
And they didn't tell you this?
No. I was not informed. Apparently I wasn't allowed to know, but I believe if you've put me in that situation, because they came out afterwards and said, oh, we were so worried about you, knowing that you was always in that area. And I'm thinking, why did you do it then? Why did you place him there and didn't even inform me? It was only until after he was put on remand in prison that we found out that that is where he was staying, and I was never informed. So I was walking around, I was probably walking past the house, you know, multiple times a week. He could have seen me, I could have seen him and not even known, because I still didn't know what he looked like, and I was never informed. I was completely clueless.
So he will have probably known what you looked like. You had no idea at this point what he looked like. And for what could be a period of weeks or months, you are in the vicinity of this man, any time of the day, any time of night. How does that make you feel, knowing that now that you were in that situation unknowingly for a long period of time?
I just feel so let down. You know, the police are the ones that are there to protect you and keep you safe, and then you've went and put me in a situation where I am probably most unsafe. You know, you didn't think about my safety. I believe they were so worried about housing him that they did not acknowledge my safety whatsoever, when in the actual end of it, I am the victim and I'm the one that has been attacked, and you put me in a situation where he could have possibly done it again. You know, luckily he didn't, but you've put me in a situation with my attacker a few doors away in the exact same area, knowing what has happened, without informing me. It made me feel just so let down, and worried for what could have happened. Yeah.
You want this guy out of this country, I think.
Yeah, I do, because I know my fear for Abby is when he's released. I think as much as she's struggling with life at the moment, the only comfort she's got is that he's behind bars, which has given her a level of safety and security. But when he comes out, I fear how much that's going to affect her then. So, yeah, I would want him deported back.
Mm. You made your views clear, I think, didn't you, at the time to relevant authorities, the police. What were you told?
I said that once he's done his sentence, will he automatically be deported back? And I was told that that would be unlikely because Iran's not classed as a safe country and they can't put him back where they believe he wouldn't be safe. So they said it was unlikely. They said that it would be down to the Home Office, it's nothing to do with the police or the barristers or whatever, it would ultimately be their decision, but the chances are it would be unlikely that he would be deported back.
And how does that make you feel then?
Really angry, because I feel like he's got all this protection and there's so much care for his welfare. And I think, well, what about my daughter? What about everyone else's daughters? Their safety doesn't mean anything. It's the focus feels like it's very much on him and what's best for him rather than Abby or anyone else.
Now, where we are today feels like a very safe area. In fact, as I was driving up here today, I thought, gosh, what a wonderful place this would be to raise a family. I've got a young family. I think this would be lovely around here. It feels safe, doesn't it? And some of the surrounding areas. To think that something like this could happen around here, I just wonder if that's a bit of a wake-up call to people that this can happen anywhere now, really.
Yeah, and to be honest, up until just over a year ago, we lived in London. Loved London. However, we decided to move out a bit for what we thought would be a safer environment for the kids to grow up in. So I'm shocked, but it just shows that you're not safe anywhere. It doesn't matter how nice your neighbourhood is or what, it happens everywhere.
Look, obviously, unfortunately, crimes have always happened. People have always done unspeakable things to other people at times. But when you think back to when you were growing up and maybe when you were Abby's age and you were going out and things, do you feel as though it's less safe now as a result of what we're seeing going on with the asylum system?
100%, yeah. It's not safe, and I think what's really sad is that every day I'm hearing another story. And these are just the stories that we're aware of. I'm sure there's many more that we don't know about. But it's really disappointing that it's now kind of the normal. Like, how is it normal to be hearing these stories every day? It's like it's just the norm now and it doesn't matter. It's really disappointing. And I think the world's a scary, scary, scary place now. No one's safe, especially young girls and women.
You had a situation, I believe, where you had to sit opposite this man in court in the waiting room, did you?
Yeah. Yep.
What was that like?
The hardest thing I've ever done. To sit there so close to the man that's hurt my child was difficult.
You all right?
Yeah. I was so angry and sorry. All I could see was this network of support around him, all these people there helping him, and all along my daughter was at home on her own with no support. That was hard. He had members of the church there. He was talking perfect English in that waiting room, and then all of a sudden he then required an interpreter. And I just feel like he just had instant access to all of these things to help and enable him, while my daughter got nothing at all.
What do you make of the fact that he was being helped by a church group?
I think it's ridiculous. I don't for 1 minute believe that he was changing his religion. I think it's just a get out clause. It's a tick box exercise to give the right answers to get the support of our country.
This is the idea that it appears that he might have been trying to claim that he was converting from Islam to Christianity as a way of being unable to go back home to Iran because he might face persecution.
Yeah, that was the reason that the police told us, was that his father was very strict on his religion, and that was why he come to the country to find God.
Mm. And you don't buy that?
No. If he was coming and he was genuinely converting to Christianity, what he's done is not very Christian. So no, I think it's so many cases that I've read up on, it's the same story. It's the same thing. It's just, I think they just say and do what's going to get them the most, and by doing that you're going to get supported. So no, I don't buy it at all.
When you look at the asylum system that we've got at the moment, and you continue to see articles and reports about the amount of people, mostly men, who are coming into this country every day and the accommodation that they're going to be put in, how does that make you feel, given what your family has been through?
Really angry. Really angry. I think my biggest thing, and I actually asked the police about this, is that all these people coming into the country, is there no checks done, you know, any background checks from their country? Because one of the things that come up in Abby's case is that he was kind of promoted as this, you know, really good character that's not been in any trouble before, and I brought up, well, how do you know that? Because there's no background check. So how do you know that? And how do you know that Abby's case is the first offence that he's committed? He could have done lots of things and just managed to get away with it. And I was told, which really shocked me and angered me a lot, was that they did actually contact Iran's police force to try and get some kind of background check on him to find out if there was any previous offences. And they weren't at liberty to answer. However, if he'd been a drug baron or he'd killed someone, we could actually enforce that we're given that information. But because it's just a sexual assault or a rape, they've got no right to get that information.
From Iran?
Yeah.
Which does indicate perhaps the way that Iran views
it's
women
sexual
and
assault.
sexual assault.
I took from that, you know, sexual assault and rape is nothing. It's not a big enough crime. But if it had been a different crime, they would have been able to...
Well, that tells you a lot, possibly, about the attitudes towards women and girls in that country. What would your message to the Home Office be? What would your message to the Prime Minister be when it comes to this individual?
To stop what they're doing, or if you are going to help people, that there needs to be more robust checks on these people. We need to know why they're running. You know, they're giving the reason why they're coming to this country, but we don't know that that's true. You don't know whether they've done something in that country and that's why they're running. There needs to be more checks done, and I think there should also be that if people do come to this country and they commit a crime, to me that should be instant deportation. They should then be sent back home. And I'd like to ask, if it was their daughter, would they still have the same views? Would they still be doing what they're doing if it was one of their own? I don't think they would. If they've gone through the nightmare that Abby's gone through, or gone through the nightmare that us as the family's gone through, would they still have that same opinion? Would they still allow for these people to come in our country? And like I say, you're hearing about stories daily. This is becoming the norm, and that's so wrong. It's so wrong. We're not safe in our country now, and I feel like that the people that are coming to our country have got more rights and more protection than what we have.
We do have a spokesperson for the Home Office who has said this. Our thoughts are with this brave survivor and all survivors of sexual violence. This government will not allow foreign criminals and illegal migrants to exploit our laws, which is why we are reforming human rights laws and replacing the broken appeals system, allowing us to scale up deportations. The Home Secretary has announced the most sweeping reforms to tackle illegal migration in modern times, which will make Britain a less attractive destination for illegal migrants and will make it easier to remove and deport them. All foreign national offenders who receive a prison sentence in the UK are referred for deportation at the earliest opportunity, so make of that what you will. A spokesperson for Hertfordshire Police has told GB News, "We are aware that a number of concerns have been raised, which we are taking extremely seriously, and we're working at pace with partners in the criminal justice system and our professional standards department to review the issues raised. Victim care is our priority. We take all reports of sexual assault seriously and will always thoroughly investigate in order to bring offenders to justice. We have specially trained officers on hand to provide advice and support to victims throughout." And of course, this is in relation to the perpetrator, who's now in prison, being housed right near Abbey. And they said, upon his initial arrest, police charged and remanded Khalafi. He was released on court bail with conditions following his first court appearance. During his next appearance, police raised concerns around the suitability of his bail address and made an application for bail to be revoked. He was subsequently remanded.